Welcome back, traders. Second portion of our show. We're going to start right in with the big stock in the news, Chevron Corporation.
Yeah, Joel, obviously after the bell, we talked about this in the Big Ten show, but after the bell, Chevron came out at 5 o'clock, 5 p.m., lowered guidance for the next quarter. So that's obviously got the stock trading down significantly. It's down $2.50 now, 105.15 after closing at 107.77. So expect a lot of your oil stocks to be relatively weak today. I've got stocks like ExxonMobil, which are down significantly. COP. A lot of your oil producers are down today.
Okay, I mean these stock like this, on the open, selling in the hole, sometimes can be a tricky thing. I'd keep an eye on this 105.05 level. That's been the pre-market low. We also were discussing in the first show how we had come across some support at 105.08 and '06. That 105.06 was the low back on December 22nd. So use that 105 as a swing area.
Sears Holding, Joel. Here's some bad news for you. The CIT group says that they're going to halt loans to the Sears suppliers. So obviously some of the financing issues are going to be happening in Sears here again. This is a stock that has just had a terrible couple of months. The stock was trading $80 here back at the end of November. It's now trading under 30 at 29.78, down another $3 from yesterday. I don't see any reason to own this stock. The only thing is when you have a stock that's sold off this significantly with no real bounces, you've probably got a lot of people short this stock. So a short squeeze could happen where you could see this stock just all of a sudden pop $4 or $5 in a hurry. I don't know what day that happens, but if you're buying a stock just banking on a short squeeze, it's not a good reason to own a stock. And I still think the stock continues lower overall, but it's going to have some violent rallies in the meantime.
Yeah, I'm looking at the pre-market there, and initially when that news come out, you got a spike down to 27.14. We recovered a little bit since that, but what our traders have to be aware of is that 27.14 level down. Dennis, believe it or not, that's where this stock traded back in November of 2008 before it had a rip-roaring rally up over 120. So let's keep an eye on that pre-market low in 27.14, and also this 26.80 as major support. So 27 looks like the number on the downside. In the pre-market, you're getting a lot of consolidation here around the $30 area. So if it can hold 30, it might be able to muster a rally back up perhaps to yesterday's low.
Williams Sonoma WSM really underwater here now. Stock came out. They gave an earnings warning, but then they tried to muffle it a bit by announcing a dividend increase and a stock buyback. So they're like, well, we're warned, but we'll give them some good stuff too. Maybe the stock won't go down so much. Not the case whatsoever. Stock is trading at 34.41. So looking at this chart, the stock is actually going to open down here in the 34.41 area, basically taking out all of the support here from the last month and a half. I don't know, Joel. I don't see a heck of a lot of support. You can look back to this October area where we topped out at 34 in early October and then broke out through it later or in the mid-October. Maybe you get down there and you find a little support in this 34 area, but wow, this stock's really taking a beating today.
Yeah, well, if you go in their stores, Dennis, I mean, what do you buy in there? I mean,
Expensive. I walked in there with my wife and I was like, man, I hope she doesn't like anything in here.
33.89 is what we've hit in the pre-market. Pretty good volume associated with it, so I'd keep an eye on that 33.89 to $34 level. So far, the recovery rally off that has not taken us much over $35. So 34.35. Be interesting to see if that support can hold or if it can recoup some ground above that 35 to get above the 35 level and perhaps make up a little bit of that ground it lost. Looking at the long, I mean, this stock did trade under $30 back in October during the October meltdown. 28.53 has been the low of the move. Don't think we'll see that today, but it'll be a number to keep an eye on over the next few weeks.
Now, stock I think we should talk about is J.P. Morgan. They have earnings tomorrow here, Joel. Um, Obviously the stocks had a heck of a run here, and the last month, we bottomed out here. If we look back in November, and this low, just in the 28.50 area, we ran up to 34, retest back to the 30. Now we've went straight up to this 36.66 close yesterday. The stock was actually trading up into the 37s earlier this morning, but the SPOOs are only up a buck now, so J.P. Morgan's pulled back with the overall market. Looking at this high back over here, if I could just get the number for you there. I'm going back
30,
to mid-October. You got it, Joel? 30,
yeah, 37.54.
yeah, 37.54. That's probably where it's going to give you some significant resistance up there, because would make a double top if it was to get up there. But keep an eye, obviously. Remember, earnings that can really drive the price anywhere. But overall, these financials have been very strong running into these earnings reports, Joel.
Yeah, I mean, I've seen the stock trade like this before, and a lot of times it runs up into earnings, then has good earnings, and then pukes. So it's hard to say. I mean, if I had been fortunate enough to buy the stock in October, or again when it dipped under $30 in November, you're getting up here near the $37 area. Boy, I tell you, I'd be tempted either to take some profits, or if there's some nice premium in some calls after this kind of run, maybe trying to lock in some kind of gain that way. That 37.54 is major resistance. Doesn't look like we're going to see it today. I think a better number, for your shorter term traders, this 36.74 was yesterday's high. So if we can't hold 36.74, I'd look for us to sell, pull back perhaps down to the low 36s. If in fact we break above 36.74, little stopping point at 37, and then 37.54, of course, the high of the move.
Target, which is TGT, announcing a $5 billion stock buyback here just a few minutes ago. It's got the stock trading up to 49.66 after it closed at 49.03. So Target's getting a good lift on that stock buyback. This is a stock, obviously we've had a huge sell-off here from the 52 area, getting almost down to 47 there about a week and a half ago. Now it's bounced up. Now it's getting back to this 50. This 51 area is the area we really broke down from. If we were to get up there, I think you'll find pretty good resistance up there. What do you think, Joel, on Target?
Yep, the initial pop, Dennis, took us up to 50.19. So I would use that as resistance. Coming back on the downside, if this thing can't hold 49.40, I expect it to come back in and settle into yesterday's range a little bit. Yesterday's low represents a double bottom at 48.51 to 48.53.
Some of these European banks, this was the reason we were rallying earlier on this morning before we kind of gave it all back. But you have stocks like ING. ING is trading actually up here at 8.11. So it's trading up here now after closing at 770. So ING is up. We've got Barclays, which is BCS. That's up significantly, trading at 1193, 1197. So coming into this 12 resistance area. Deutsche Bank, which has been a stock that's come back here nicely in the last few sessions here. 36.75 to closing 35.88, so it's trading a little bit higher too. That's why we had this lift, because you might come in and say, well, why were we up this morning when Chevron comes out and announces their bad guidance? Well, because all these European banks really drove us higher. So that was the reason why, and a lot of the financials. But since then, some of these European banks have cooled off, and a lot of your other stocks have actually turned south here, and some of your financials are just barely holding on to gains now too. Just a couple other stocks to highlight. Sears Holdings, SHLD. Oh, we already talked about that one. I meant WYNN, WYNN, from your casino stocks. 107.40 is where that thing's trading after closing out at 111.89. This stock came out, one of the largest shareholders there, suing the company because they wouldn't let them see the bucks. So I think that's what got shareholders a little bit nervous. Is like it was something to do with some of the WYNN selling expenses. He wanted to audit those, and they weren't letting him do it. And so he's actually put a lawsuit in against the company for it, and that's got the stock trading down here $4 this morning, 107.40. Joel, WYNN.
Yeah, a lot of support here at 105.88. That was the low on January 9th. Still a couple bucks, buck and a half away from there. So I'd keep an eye on that 105.88 level. Looking at the pre-market, the stock has traded quite a bit under that, Dennis. It traded down to 103 initially on that news. So support at 105.80. If in fact they can't hold that level, look for a test of the pre-market low at 103.
So overall, what I'm seeing today is some of your oil stocks are weaker on the Chevron news. So expect some of your weakness over there, and some of your financials are still relatively strong overall, Joel, just because the European financials are rallying as well. So your weak sectors would be your oil stocks, and your stronger sector probably a little bit of your financials. Other than that, some of the trends probably continue where you're seeing this risk on days here where we're kind of buying the stocks which were weaker last year. Anything you want to close with there, Joel?
No, just we're gonna run into support here at the close at 12.88 and a quarter, down, which is 12.85, and the daily pivot right there at 12.85.50. So can't get too excited about this market going down until that 12.85 is taken out. Well, that's our show for this morning, folks. I hope we've provided you with some good information. We'll be back with you tomorrow.